How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Oh, sorry.
We were
Groundhog Day. Hey, how you doing?
we were just watching a little bit of Maury to decide whether or not we wanted to talk about it. But then when Dad's brain started dripping out of his ear, we decided against it.
This is America. This is a snapshot of America.
I mean, we're not
Wow.
always going to make it a Maury thing, but we just happened upon it since,
It's the daytime version of WWF. That's what it is.
yeah, notice that we can't say anything because my brain is dripping out of my ear too. Actually, what we're going to talk about is Sleepy Hollow.
Yes,
Back to intelligent television. Yeah.
something that is a bit more believable than Maury.
And with better looking people.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
Real quick review of
Go for it, Dad,
episode
because
1.
I'm.
You know the story: Ichabod Crane, Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow town in upstate New York. Nice little village. Um,
The connection between the two of them since they both
yeah.
killed each other.
In this particular version of the story, they are fighting in the Revolutionary War.
Mm-hmm.
Ichabod Crane kills the Hessian who becomes the Headless Horseman, and actually he gets wounded by the Horseman too. So they're lying in the battlefield, dying. Their blood merges, so they're connected psychically,
Bloodline.
bloodline. You know, this whole mystical thing. Okay, they die, they get buried, they're resurrected. Apparently, the town of Sleepy Hollow is one of the many towns where there are covens of witches who are influencing and affecting the American Revolution, because the American Revolution is just a veneer of what they're actually trying to do is take over the United States and eventually the world with witchcraft and black magic. Okay, so Ichabod Crane, George Washington are fighting forces of evil. So it's the Patriots fighting the English as well as witches and other demons. The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Which
Okay,
is what one of the headless horsemen is one of them.
death, war, famine, and
Pestilence.
pestilence. Okay,
I didn't really get to watch a lot. I watched it, but he has a better grasp on it, so that's why he's talking more about it than I am. Go ahead, Dad.
at the end of episode 1, there's a reference to the fact that the horseman is the advance guard sent to gather an army to assist the four horsemen in their quest to take over everybody, basically. Okay, so that's the prelude to
This
this
episode.
episode. This episode is the awakening of one of the witches who was one of the army gatherers, so to speak, because
Right.
she was burned at the stake back in
Back in
16
Ichabod's time.
something, 17 something. And she swore that the people who burned her, judged her and burned her, their ashes would become her flesh and she would come back to life in the future. Well, 250 years later, uh,
Vengeance is a
and the horseman's here, getting folks up and yada yada yada. She gets awakened, and in order for her to become flesh and blood again, she's got to kill the people, the ancestors of the people who sentenced her, burn them and get their ashes and put them in some kind of concoction and come back to life to start her job, which is to gather an army. Okay, so that's what this series is about. We won't go into detail about what happens. Suffice it to say that it actually is very well done. She is a formidable foe. In the end, she gets her comeuppance, so to speak, uh, and the storyline continues. And you get to meet in more detail the heroine's sister, who, in the beginning, if you recall, had a vision of the four horsemen, and that was their connection because they and Ichabod Crane, and probably a few others as the storyline goes on, will be the opponents to the oncoming onslaught of evil. One thing I liked about the show, this particular show, is that even though in the beginning she was looked on and scoffed about what she saw, and her believability was low, things are going on that people can't explain rationally and scientifically, so they're beginning to give her a little bit of credence, give her a little leeway.
And it's coming more out into the open and focus. It's getting more real.
Yeah, and in this show, it made references to other locations where other witch covens were. One of which was in Albany, New York, and there's a quick reference that was made that a lot of people probably overlooked, but the captain, who was the initial skeptic, but is beginning to exhibit, at least in the show, that he's got some level of belief, because he says Crane and his lieutenant are the only ones who seem to have a grasp on what's going on, and they're his only clues to what's happening. He says, "All right, well, I'm going to leave you in charge because I got to take a trip to Albany, where one of the covens is." Ha ha! The plot thickens and sickens, but we'll see what happens with that little episode and that little trip that he took. But this was a pretty good episode.
Plus, there's a lot of little side things that you realize, like
Yeah.
the officer that she used to work with, not the sergeant, but the other officer that she used to work with who got killed in the last
In the
episode.
first episode.
Not the one who was headless, whose neck was broken.
He's back.
He's been brought back to life to
He's
further
back.
to help along finding the victims, because he has connections through the police. He can easily go find their addresses and find out where they are, and then
That was one part of it that, for me, didn't really hold a lot of water, because his body was in the morgue, and he unzipped the bag and got out and got dressed and walked away. Didn't anybody miss the body? I mean, come on. That part was a little weak
but
in
then they
terms of the
saw
writing.
him and they said he was okay. Well, who knows? Who really knows? I mean, he was left alone in the room for a while. Who knows? And you don't question much in this town. Who
Well,
knows?
somebody knows he was dead. And somewhere along the lines, one of the coroners or attendants should have recognized the fact that, oh, this body bag is empty. There's no body in it, and there should be a body in the body bag. If body bags are supposed to be places where you put dead people. Nobody did in the bag, so
He's so technical about stuff.
yeah. See, those kind of things annoy me, because those are loose ends that don't make sense. You if you're gonna do good sci-fi, have it make sense. Nobody's gonna just ignore the fact that a body bag is empty. How many shows have you seen where CSI and all those other things, evidence or smaller things are missing, a body's missing, and nobody says anything? Come on, weak part of the show. Otherwise, I give it a B plus. If I had to grade it, B plus plus if I had to grade it. I give the first episode an A because it's the first episode. This was, tighten up those little loose ends, because otherwise your credibility gets questioned. That's just me. I don't know. What can I say? I'm
They're
picky
just
like that.
trying to make it more
I like good sci-fi
supernatural
and
stuff.
schmaltzy sci-fi. If it's going to be bad, be bad. If it's going to be good, be good.
So there's another thing. The sister,
Yes.
she's doing a very Linda Hamilton thing. I saw a reference to that.
Yes, if you saw the Terminator series, Linda Hamilton in the second Terminator was institutionalized and doing a bodybuilding thing and trying to keep her sanity. She's playing crazy, but trying to keep herself, fit, because she knows
Same,
what's coming.
because she knows.
This sister is exhibiting the same kind of traits in this series, keeping herself fit and in shape, playing crazy but getting better. So
And the horsemen are coming after
yeah,
her
so
too.
she can maneuver around. Because if she kept talking about the horsemen, they would have wrapped her up and tied her up, and she would have been immobilized and helpless. Now she's beginning to play the game so she can get some movement, because she knows she's
There's
not
stuff
crazy,
coming on.
and the dark clouds are coming. So
Yeah. So
good
the connection.
series. Keep watching it.
Cute. I love you.
If writers are watching, tighten up those little loose ends so you don't lose any credibility in terms of
Of course, since
reality.
you're watching,
Because I'm a picky critic like that.
Yeah, think.
Hey, what can I say? I'm still the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
God. No, you're not.
That's it for me. See you next week.
Guys, we'll see
Peace
you
out.
next week.
Celebrate my birthday this weekend, and
That's right. He's going to have a birthday on
never
Saturday.
mind how old I am. And high school reunion. So it's a good weekend coming up. Looking forward to it. Have a great weekend, you
Hey guys, we
guys.
just got cut off because I have too many videos on here. I got to cut it out. So we're just saying goodbye. And Dad's saying goodbye. And we'll see you. Well, he'll see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Bye.